Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Daily Kos The Brief. It's our weekly show about politics. I am Marcos Molitzas. I am here with Carrie Alaveld. And today we're going to be talking. Carrie, what's going on with the Republican Party? Because I don't think there's a single part of it anymore that's operating on a normal human wavelength. They've
No.
all gone insane.
They have gone insane. From top to bottom, from Trump all the way into seeping into Congress. And you know what? I don't even have the goods on this right now, but I did see a story about it, about how there's like three major, I think in Georgia, Michigan, and I forget the third state house, but the state party is in this serious civil war with each other. And
They're all broke because none of them are actually doing things that state parties are supposed to do, like raising money.
Yeah.
MAGA has completely taken over. And when you're a nihilist who celebrates ignorance, you're not going to run state parties or Congress in any sort of reasonable, rational, effective sort of way.
Yeah, and in Georgia, for instance, the governor, the Georgia governor, who's pretty popular, the Republican governor, Brian Kemp, is trying to organize donors against the state party because he realizes that, like, hey, we can't count on. He's literally said this: we can't count on these guys to help us, elect normal Republicans or good Republican candidates. So don't give your money to the state party. We've got to give it elsewhere, either directly to the candidates or to his super PAC or whatever. But like, do not waste your money throwing it at the state party. So, I mean, it's just, anyway, we should start out. You want to start out with Trump?
Yeah. So today the show is about Donald Trump and
the culture he's created. And boy,
it's an interesting week in the world of Donald Trump without even talking about his trials. I don't think we're going to get into those trials, right? That's a whole nother story. But we're also going to talk about Congress because, Carrie, I thought there was like a full moon going on today or something because they've all lost their mind in Congress. So I know you've been deep into writing about that stuff. So we'll talk about Congress too and just how they've lost their minds there as well. But let's start with Donald Trump because we know Donald Trump is about the biggest piece of shit of a human being possible. And
don't mince words, Marcos. Don't mince words.
One of the challenges that we're facing as a party, as a movement, is to try to, I don't know, get people to really be aware of the threat of Donald Trump because he says crazy things every single day. And so it just becomes background noise, right? And people are like, oh, that's Donald Trump being Donald Trump. It's just him being. And so we're sitting here saying, like, can you please listen to what he has to say? It is dangerous. He's literally calling for an American fascist state. He's threatening to put all his critics in jail, to use the military to implement the Insurrection Act on day one, to put down any protesters against him, to shut down and jail, to exterminate. He's used the word exterminate his opponents. He's gone. He was always dangerous. He's gone another step altogether because democracy did not serve him in 2020. Really, real democracy should have had him defeated in 2016, right? Because we don't have a real democracy. But even the rigged system, the rigged electoral college wasn't enough to save him in 2020. And so he's given up on the whole idea of democracy. And his people, the Republican Party, increasingly had given up on democracy. And Trump is not being coy about this. Maybe this is a saving grace, but the challenge has been to get people to understand that, Joe Biden this, I don't like he did that. It's like, okay, but great. Actually, we got a lot from Joe Biden, all things considered. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves. But aside from that, look at frickin' Donald Trump. And I think this weekend, Carrie, he finally might have gone. I'm not gonna say he's gone too far. He's been going too far from the beginning. He finally was so low, he did something so bad that it actually cut through the noise and it stood out. And people had to, were like, whoa, step back. And I'm gonna read this because it was a post on his Truth social media, right? and it was on Saturday, and he wrote, "In honor of our great veterans on Veterans Day, we pledge to you that we will root out the communist, Marxist, fascist, and radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, lie, steal, and cheat on elections, and will do anything possible, whether legally or illegally, to destroy America and the American dream. The threat from our outside forces is far less sinister, dangerous, and grave than the threat from within. Despite the hatred and anger of the radical left lunatics who want to destroy our country, we will make America great again." And Carrie,
Can I just add something?
please.
He actually said that in a speech in New Hampshire first, and he said it almost word for word like that. And you know how intentional this is because as I understand it, and I did not realize this, he was an hour and like 45 minutes into a stem winder in New Hampshire where he was all over the freaking place, hitting the greatest hits and, so all this stuff. And then at the end, he was like, "Oh, and let me do this teleprompter thing," whatever it was that was on the teleprompter. And then, of course, they tweeted it out again. So, anyone who was covering that may have missed it because they were already, writing on deadline or asleep by the time he got there. And then just to make sure that no one did miss it, his campaign made extra sure to take the exact verbiage and then tweet it out too.
This is almost word for word out of the fascist playbook. The idea of vermin, of dehumanizing enemies into threatening their destruction. Sort of, it's another step in. And I think there's finally this realization that, yeah, this guy is serious. Now you see Republicans being like, "Oh, how's that different than deplorables?" Well, Gary, last I checked, when Hillary deplorable thing came out, they all lost their minds.
Oh,
So
they did.
you don't get to say like, "I lose my mind over deplorables," but this doesn't matter because it's just like deplorables, unless they shrug their shoulders at deplorables a few years ago, and it's not even remotely comparable. Just to be very, very clear, vermin and calling for the extermination of people
She was.
is not the same as deplorables. Whether you agree or disagree with deplorables, they are literally not the same thing.
It's insane. She was not calling for the extermination, whatever. And just in case anybody was unclear about what Trump was saying, his spokesperson then got asked about it, which I think was totally on purpose, and then said that let's see, he denied that Trump's rhetoric echoed that of dictators like Hitler and Mussolini, and then said, quote unquote, that he said that anyone who does think that will find, quote unquote, their entire existence will be crushed when President Trump returns to the White House, unquote. So that's the quote. Their entire existence will be crushed when President Trump returns to the White House. So just in case anyone was unclear about what was going on here, the spokesperson is confirming that the snowflakes, quote unquote, will be crushed. Their existence will be crushed.
And there was something as offensive and as terrifying it is, and we'll be happy to laugh at Donald Trump because he's a clown as well. The problem is that people don't see him as a clown. People are taking him seriously. And that's the real danger. There's a time to laugh at Donald Trump. And when he says things like this, that's not the time to laugh at him anymore. It's the time to take him deadly serious. And the fact that he used veterans on Veterans Day as a reason to pull out this BS. And Carrie, people may or may not be aware, I'm a veteran. I served in the U.S. Army. I served 3 years during the Gulf War. My son today, he's a veteran in training. He's deployed in the Middle East. He's in the Army as well. He's an infantryman. I was an artilleryman, and we take an oath to the Constitution, and we take that very seriously. And there is a creed with those who serve, and it is not the extermination of our internal enemies. In fact, it is exactly the opposite. This is an affront to the Constitution. It is an affront to the vow that every veteran fights for. And I cannot believe just how offended I am by this. It shook me to my very core. And Carrie, when I saw it happen, I was like, "Yep, that's going to go down the same hole that every one of Donald Trump's crazy things that he says goes down. But I was actually kind of surprised. It actually seems to have some traction. It seems to have sort of penetrated through that din, that Donald Trump din, that background noise into something that people are saying like, yeah, this is problematic. This is a thing. And Carrie, I think this is going to have lasting power. I think this is going to keep haunting him through the next through this election cycle. And we always have to keep looking back to where is this battleground being fought, this electoral battleground. And our people are gonna turn out. Their people are going to turn out. The MAGA people are going to turn out, right? So the one sort of swing group are those college educated suburban white women. We've been talking about them for years. They're the ones that are really motivated by abortion, and just rights, basic rights.
Yeah. Democracy too. I mean,
Yeah, democracy.
it's all kind of like a big, but yeah,
Yeah.
abortion specifically, and then abortion sort of serves as a, like an example of a sort of group of rights and freedoms that people want.
And then there's hints. I don't want to get too excited too quickly, but I think there are hints that college educated white suburban men are at least starting to get a little queasy about where the Republican Party is heading.
Where are you
And
getting those hints from? I'm just, I don't
uh,
mean to like,
it's just election results, the way that the suburbs keeps
okay.
moving.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that I'm gonna
Right.
bet my firstborn on right now, but there's a gut feeling there that and it's not major, but it's got to start somewhere, right? And if
Yeah.
even you're peeling away,
Yeah.
um, and this is the sort of thing that is not going to help Trump and the Republicans stem the bleeding in those suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that piece. Two, this is freaking terrifying, Carrie. And if there's any liberals, like right now, a lot of people are upset at Joe Biden for any number of reasons, some of them fair, some of them unfair, irrelevant. Um, things don't matter right now. Next summer, different story, right? So like if people want to bend or they want to try to push Biden a different direction, that's democracy. That's all cool. I'm not gonna get too upset about it. But this is the sort of thing that by next summer, if anybody's still in the Joe Biden sucks, you're the vermin. You're exactly who Donald Trump and his people are going to come after. And um, this isn't a political disagreement. They are literally promising police action against their critics. And that is a completely different America. That is the end of the American experiment, the American democratic experiment. That's what Donald Trump right now represents. And people need to understand that. And I think vermin is going to stick for a long time and serve that purpose.
Right. And they're getting questions on this because I saw a headline, I think this morning, and I can't remember exactly what it was. And I'm just guessing it's like New York Times or Washington Post or Politico. Those are like, the three of the places that I get a lot of news from, among others. But, and it said that the Trump campaign was now suggesting walking back the idea that they were going to he was going to go after his political enemies right away. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, oh no, it turns out I misspoke. They weren't vermin. I mean, that's not what he said. They didn't say that. Okay. They didn't take that quote back, but I'm just saying to your point, how do you have this whole plan in place where you're going to, go after your political enemies immediately. And this has been reported on day one. And now they're like, oh yeah, that's not as real as people are reporting. I mean, so they're getting some scrutiny for it that they obviously don't like. So now they're trying to soften it just a bit, but we need to believe him because this is going after his political enemies is actually something that Trump doesn't just say. He relishes that.
Yeah.
And a potential Trump that steps into the office in 2025 is a different Trump than the one that stepped into the office in 2017. He's not gonna take time trying to figure out what he wants to do. He knows how to break the U.S. government as fast as humanly possible. He knows what his powers are. He knows where the levers are. And he and the people.
Let's hear Donald Trump say
Yeah.
that, "Oh, I didn't really mean that I'm going after the," like, he'll never do that. So whatever the campaign says is an absolute joke. But I'm actually fascinated by that. That's because it does seem just like Donald Trump's lawyers always trying to like reel him back. Like I could see a campaign because we are in a place where somebody like Mitt Romney's already said that Donald Trump is a danger to the nation. And if we talk about giving permission to weak Republicans or educated, college educated Republicans in the suburbs, Mitt Romney may be an incredible asset next year if he decides to be more active opposing Donald Trump and maybe even endorsing Joe Biden. Can you imagine if George Bush, uh, Mitt Romney, if these sort of old establishment Republicans say this is not what we are as a party, yeah, they're going to get crucified by MAGA, but they're already
Mhm.
on the outs, right? They already don't matter. The question is, are there a subset of Republican voters, mostly in the suburbs, but maybe rural, it don't matter, right? Who are already kind of feeling a little unsettled about where this is going. And these Republicans, Liz Cheney, these Republicans can give them some room to say, like, yeah, I'm a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. But in this case, I believe in America. I believe in our Constitution. And I cannot pull the lever for Donald Trump. And there's a real possibility there. And so as
And that's
you,
it. That's exactly what Liz Cheney sought to do in the midterms, and it worked to some extent. She campaigned for some
yeah,
Democrats, like Alyssa Slotkin in Michigan, and there were some others that they were kind of
yeah,
national
correct.
security type Democrats who had either worked in the CIA or been part of the military or something like that. That was kind of her. But that's exactly what Sarah Longwell does, is spends time
Mhm.
trying to create a mission, permission structure for disaffected Republicans, squishy Republicans who are really turned off by Trump, to just go ahead and do the patriotic thing and vote for the only party that still believes in democracy. And that is, that's Democrats. Like, Republicans don't believe in democracy anymore. They just don't. I mean, the House Speaker right now has actually stated in the past that this isn't a democracy. I mean,
Yeah,
so
that's a weird one. And I think this is a good time to transition because what Donald Trump has done is he's sort of created, he's broken his party. And in fact, by extension, he's threatening to break democracy. And we're seeing things fall apart in the House. And Carrie, I'm going to let you lead on this one because we're recording this on Tuesday, November 14th. It has been a day in Congress.
it has been a day. And I want to take one point of privilege here, as long as we're going to talk about Congress. I'm going to use the congressional language, the congressional speak, and just say that if you're trying to get people to pay attention to you and they're not responding to Trump just called you vermin and he's going to end democracy as we know it. Some people, activists, are motivated by that, right? Democratic activists typically are motivated by that. Some people are really just shut down by it. They're so scared by it that they're shut down. And if you're experiencing people being shut down, then try a softer tactic and talk about, like, how unhinged he is, like that his mental decline, and he can't say the words, he can't. And there's funny videos about that, and you can share with them funny videos about Trump really not being all there. He's really starting to
And
miss a
he's
beat
not.
more and more.
Yeah.
He can't pronounce things. He talks about the threat of World War II happening. Woo!
And I hope that doesn't
Okay.
happen.
Yeah, me too. God, if World War II came, that would be a real downer. So like, there are if one way isn't working, just I try and turn our listeners into an army of messengers if we possibly can. Try another tactic. Try softer tactic. Okay, so here's a softer tactic. The Republicans in Congress are like in full meltdown mode, and they always are. But this has a certain Jerry Springer, like, middle school, distinctly juvenile, infantile flavor to it. And so there's it's not just happening in the House, it's also happening in the Senate. Should we start with the House or the Senate first? Maybe we should start with
Let's start with the House.
Okay, let's start with the House. We'll start with the House first. We have a clip in the Senate, so don't go anywhere.
Okay. All right. Let's do the Senate then. Let's start with the clip.
Oh, I was just teasing them. I was gonna
Okay.
keep them in. I was reeling them in. No, okay. Well, It's so good. It's all so good. Don't go anywhere. All right. Let's start with the Senate clip. So partly because I'm losing my voice. Sorry. So here's the thing. We are witnessing the MAGAization of the Senate, right? Which is they're now the Republican senators are starting to do exactly what the House Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz and all those folks have been doing for a while, which is just turn the whole place into a circus and then try to fundraise off of it. So today, this is all of the stuff we're about to talk about, sorry, in the Senate and the House happened today. And we're going to start with a clip. I'm downing water. We're going to start with a clip of Senator Bernie Sanders chairing a committee hearing titled Standing Up Against Corporate Greed, How Unions Are Improving the Lives of Working Families. Now, doesn't that sound like a nice topic, Marcos? Doesn't that sound like a good, yeah, okay. So if you want to read,
the auto workers are sure feeling that one today, right?
Exactly.
And what about our actors and our writers? Yeah.
That's right. Actors and writers, right? Absolutely. So if you want to read the story, Walter Einenkel, our producer, has written it up on dailykos.com. But anyway, he's holding this hearing. And there's a Republican senator that you're about to hear talking. His name is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma. Now, I'm going to admit to not knowing Senator Mullen before this. Yeah,
I just got elected.
I didn't know. know. So he's going to be talking, and he is in the hearing. He's on the dais and he is asking questions of Teamster President Sean O'Brien. And Senator Mullen is very upset because the last time they had a discussion, or which I assume was probably in a hearing setting or some such, O'Brien walked away and tweeted at Senator Mullen, basically calling him, a hypocrite at whatever. So the clip you're about to hear now, here's the thing.
A tweet?
A tweet.
Whoa.
So they almost break in. I mean, this is in a Senate hearing room, and it almost erupts into a fist fight. No kidding. And here we're going to play the clip, 30 seconds of it. It went on for like eight or 9 minutes, but we're going to play the clip. And the first person speaking is Senator Mullen, and he's going to be quoting the tweet that Sean O'Brien sent out about him that he's very upset about.
Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution,
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down.
Okay.
You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
Okay, so that is unmistakably Senator Bernie Sanders jumping in and trying to gain control of this thing.
He did it too.
Well, it went on. I mean, he did kind of, but it went on for like 8 minutes. Okay. Senator Mullen actually stood up and Bernie Sanders was like, sit down, you're a United States Senator. And then you got Sean O'Brien. He's got like a classic, like either Chicago or New York accent going on there. He's got like a
he's tough guy, Irish guy. Like, I don't know if I take that guy
on. No, not me. I'm not taking him on. So I'm not taking Mullen on either. I mean, who knows about that guy? So this happens, right? And I'm like, I would not have known about this if I hadn't been listening to NPR today. And NPR was like, you'll never believe the fist fight almost broke out in the Senate today. Jeez. Wow. No, I wouldn't have known. I'm just, here I am writing about polls and focus groups. And I'm like, okay, the place is going to shit over there. Sorry. Not family friendly. Okay. So here's what happens. After that happens, of course, Senator Mullen comes back and then tweets it out, right? This is such a classic move. And he says, if in Oklahoma, if you run your mouth, you get called out, period. That's the tweet, right? You get called out, period, like tough guy. And then he tweets out his, the video of him like having this exchange with O'Brien. And and then of course he's going to fundraise off of that, because this is like
Both of them will. Yeah.
yeah, well, probably, but this is but O'Brien didn't walk in there to create that situation and then go to fundraise off of it, right? Mullen walked in there with this series of tweets that he was going to, pick this bone with O'Brien, and then he was going to there was going to be this video, and then they were going to clip it, they were going to tweet it out and get a bunch of fundraising off of it. I mean, this is just a classic Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz tactic. It's a MAGA tactic. And of course, Senate Minority Leader McConnell took a really strong stance against this and said, it's very difficult to control the behavior of everybody who's in the building. I don't view that as my responsibility. That's something the Capitol Police will have to deal with. Oh, okay. Thanks, Mitch. I mean, he's not even, leadership. He isn't even able to say, look, this is unacceptable from someone in the Republican caucus. They can't do this.
He could even not even say party. He said nobody should be blah blah blah. Right.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
Both sides.
Exactly.
Who cares?
He could both sides it. He could have done anything, but instead he said, "This is just the Capitol Police are going to have to handle this." Gee, okay, thanks.
They want the Capitol Police to restrain one of the senators. I mean, that's not even a real.
Well,
thing to
apparently
say.
they're just getting used to the Capitol Police having to restrain Republican supporters. So, I mean, that's the go-to now. So this is, I mean, I am like, I see this happening, and I think this is exactly the Senate is going to be like the House of Representatives in 6 years, because this is
Mitt Romney's on. Yeah, you're gonna have another one of them.
Exactly. You're going to have another wave of these MAGA Republicans coming in.
One in West Virginia to replace Joe Manchin. Oh, there's a whole new generation.
There's a whole new generation coming, right? Mitt Romney's going to be replaced. Joe Manchin is surely going to almost surely be replaced by a Republican. Of course, he's going to be replaced by Jim Justice, who isn't exactly like this crazy, but
maybe
still.
He's a former Democrat. He's being attacked for not being a real Republican. Like, who knows what's going to happen in that primary? We know how.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I'm taking the primary for granted. I mean, so who knows?
Yeah.
But okay. So you're thinking, well, if the Senate's going to be like the House, what's going on in the House? Oh,
what is going on in the House, Carrie Alabelt?
What is going on in the House? Well, it was a beautiful day in the House today, right? I am, again, going along, trying to write my story.
Were you minding your own business?
Minding my own business. Yeah. And then I see a tweet from the hyperbolic NPR reporter, Claudia Grisales.
She's so shrill.
She's so shrill. She's always picking these fights and, asking terrible questions. Just kidding. She's great. She's a totally normal, down the line reporter. And I see this tweet from her, and it says, have never, all caps, seen this on Capitol Hill. While talking to Representative Tim Burchett after the Tim Burchett, I think I'm mispronouncing it, after the GOP conference meeting, former Speaker McCarthy walked by with his detail, and McCarthy shoved Burchett. Burchett lunged towards me. I thought it was a joke. It was not. And a chase ensued. Okay.
I think Benny Hill.
Yeah, I mean, this is unreal. So Burchett apparently was walking along, and what McCarthy did was like elbow him in the back. Now, Burchett is one of the people who, or Burchett, whatever.
Who cares?
Okay. He was one of the people who voted to oust, one of the Republicans small band of Republicans who voted to oust Speaker McCarthy and got him kicked out as speaker. So I guess, I don't know. Has McCarthy just been waiting? He's going to, his little vigilante justice here. He's going to go along and, elbow him in the back.
Adam Kinzinger said that McCarthy did that to him a couple of times. He wrote about it in his book. So I guess this is
Oh my God, you are kidding me. Are you joking?
No, it just came out.
This is like okay, so
he's a bully. People have accused him of being a bully, and apparently
no, he's not a bully. He's a weasel. He has a security detail. I mean, can I just say how on brand it is for someone who has a security detail? It's like
To assault somebody?
if you're in middle school and you're walking along with your dad and then you see some kid you don't like and you decide you're going to punch him in the nose, and then when the kid is like, hey, wait a second, he says, I've got my dad with me, so don't mess with me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what McCarthy is doing. It's so on brand for him to like take a shot at someone while he's got a security detail. And this all happens.
But was that it?
No, I mean, it went on and
No,
on.
no,
I
no.
mean,
Is that the only crazy Republican on
no,
Republican?
hold on. Oh, no. Hold on. Let me just finish out this one episode and then we'll hit MTG too. Because then I mean, you know, this goes on. Burchett apparently called McCarthy a jerk. And then, you know, and then Speaker Johnson, much in the same with this, you know, MAGA Mike, much in the same way as Mitch McConnell says, he declined to comment on this. He told me he didn't see it. That's what he told CNN. I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. Oh, okay. Then
Yeah, that's the only. But all he's seen every Democratic thing he's outraged about because he has no problem attacking Democrats for the dumbest things.
no. And then
Yeah.
Matt Gaetz files an ethics complaint against Kevin McCarthy for assaulting Tim Burchett. Okay. And then Kevin McCarthy denies sucker punching Burchett in the kidneys, says it was a crowded hallway and accidentally bumped into him. Said Burchett would know if it were intentional. In other words, I didn't hit him that hard. He'd know. Anyway,
And
so
wait,
that's
then Burchett saying that his kidney hurts because he's in so pain. So one of McCarthy's friends says, "Oh, I'm across the aisle from you. I got some Tylenol. If you need to come over, I can hook you up."
serious. Is this for real?
It's for real.
Oh my God. And then Ken Buck, who's also one of the 8 Republicans who voted against to oust McCarthy, says, Kevin McCarthy and Line are like peanut butter and jelly. I mean, this is what's happening. Okay, on top of that all, Marjorie Taylor Greene is very upset with Darrell Issa. Because Darrell Issa is a California congressman who I think was insulting her or critical of her because she didn't know how to properly bring articles of impeachment against a Biden administration official. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene tweets out, Darrell Issa is right. I am a hardworking member of Congress who puts American people first. But we all know that Darrell Issa lacks ... And then she includes a bunch of ball emojis: football, soccer ball, baseball, ball, etc. So he lacks the balls, the cojones. That's what she's saying. But she did it with all these cute emojis, so it's super cool. That was super cool. I mean, these people are like, they are so juvenile. If you're wondering what the Senate is going to look like in 6 years, this is what it's going to look like. They can't, you know, they don't know how they're going to keep the government funded. They can't. Tuberville still has a hold on all these military officials and military promotions. You know, their probably likely nominee for 2024 is calling, you know, people vermin and saying that he's going to exterminate them. I mean, this is what the Republican Party is from top to bottom, everywhere. That's what they are.
You know what's really ironic about this whole situation? So we also found out today that Speaker Mike Johnson is actually working with Democrats to pass a continuing resolution. Things have gotten so bad
Wow.
that the guy that the nihilist got elected speaker has finally thrown his hands up in the air and said, "Hey, I'm going to work with Democrats because you guys are impossible." And that's
Well,
sort
let's
of
see how long that lasts. He's going to
Yeah.
get a lot. He's going to get a lot of pressure from his right side for that, I believe.
Oh, they might do the same thing they try to do to McCarthy, and who knows? I mean, it'd be funny. I don't know if Democrats are like, "You're on your own, dude. I'll let you cut a deal." But maybe he'll cut a deal because McCarthy did not want to cut a deal with the Democrats, and it cost them. And we'll see if Johnson's any smarter. But they're falling apart. And what's really interesting about these cases is that they're attacking each other.
Oh,
Period.
yeah.
They've almost forgotten that the Democrats are the enemy. And they're not even realizing what happened in the election. Just a couple, was it last week or week
No,
before?
it's last week. It was just last week.
Yeah, just last week. So they're not even understanding that they just got their asses whooped and that maybe their shtick isn't quite working fine. But I mean, we've seen some people say, who was it that said? Was it JD Vance or can't remember who had said that the reason they lost was because they weren't anti-abortion enough. I
That
mean,
was Virginia. That was Virginia Representative Bob Good, who had
okay,
who was yeah. If only we had been more clear. And the 15-week ban is too moderate. And if we had, we
yeah,
didn't motivate our base because we weren't, down on the. He didn't say specifically, but he was basically saying we should have been on 6 weeks. We should have been on a total ban.
yeah.
Who
All
knows
right.
what he wants, but something.
Run with that next year. Go go for it. And so we have a Republican Party that just got their butts whooped multiple times. They got their ass whooped in 2022 and then now again. And that House majority, the Senate's a tough map for Democrats, but the House, the map is actually pretty good for the Democrats. We have court cases that will actually probably give us even just by court fiat is going to pick up some seats for us.
Yeah,
in
we're
New
talking
York,
about a
probably
handful.
Wisconsin.
We got to make up a handful of seats there, and we
Not
might
much.
pick up, 2 or 3 of them by court maps. And then you've got these 18,
18.
Republicans who sit in districts that Joe Biden won
Yeah.
in 2020. I mean, I've at this point decided that the House is it's hard for me to imagine how Republicans manage to hold on to it. And frankly, they don't want to govern.
They
They
don't.
want to. They
They
want
want to
to
raise
throw.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they want to raise money and hurl stuff from the
And
cheap seats.
get on Newsmax. And
Yeah, right.
it's a lot tougher to do that against Mitch or Kevin McCarthy or Mike
Mike
Johnson.
Johnson.
It's going to be great for them to do it against Hakeem Jeffries, right? Oh my
Oh,
God,
yeah.
a scary black man. They're gonna go to town with it. Like that's literally what they want.
Yeah.
I don't know why they just don't vote for Hakeem and just get it over with, like right now, and just put him in charge. And so, but the Senate is tough. But the way they're going, they're giving Democrats every chance to make the case, and every even marginally competitive seat, like Ted Cruz in Texas, and so they are once again they're giving Democrats a boost by being so horrendous. And there's no rationality to this, right? I mean, I don't think they're like strategically plotting to attack
Oh,
each
no.
other. They're just horrible people.
No, and
Donald
they hate
Trump
each
is a
other.
horrible person. He's attracted horrible people. And this is what it looks like. And my God, this is what a Donald Trump administration would look like, because he's surrounded himself by the biggest yes men, psychopaths who are just bad, terrible people. And this is what the Republican Party and Kerry, we're partisan Democrats and partisan liberals, and like it doesn't feel partisan anymore. Like they're attacking each other. They're so horrible. It's not like us saying, "Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene is terrible." They are going after each other. They're so bad. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a different vibe and a different
Well,
energy coming out of Washington.
sometimes just sucker punching each other. I mean, sometimes, sometimes the verbal assault really isn't good enough, Marcos, and you just got to sucker punch
Bit of
someone
elbow, huh?
while you've got your security detail back up, so that if anything goes truly wrong, you can hide behind them. That's the way the real men do it. Not that I would know, but I'm just guessing that Kevin McCarthy is a good example of a real man.
Carrie, that is our show today. Oh my God, this is going in places I never expected, Carrie.
Sorry.
Like I suspected this year is going to be one plot twist after another, because who the hell can figure this out? They're out of control. And when
They
you
are.
have a car careening out of control, it hits things you don't expect it to hit. So
And we're not even into 2024 yet. That's
no,
what's
not even.
crazy.
This is supposed to be the sleepy time.
Yeah,
Calm
it's
before the
supposed to, things
storm.
are supposed to be calm right now.
Yeah,
I
election
mean,
just
it is-
happened. Everybody's gathering, like raising money. They're nope. They're going after each other. That's what the Republicans are doing. So thank you so much, Carrie. Always so much fun to do the show with you. Thanks to Walter for producing. Thanks to all the people who helped behind the scenes, like Perry and Paul. And thank you, the viewer, listener, reader, for being part of this movement for our democracy. It is existential. I know it gets tiring and I know it's exhausting, but it is the most important election of our lifetime. And it will continue to be until we get rid of the MAGA threat. So that's our task. That's what we need to gear up towards. And it's kind of nice that Republicans are sort of giving us an assist right now, but we're going to have to do everything we can to kill that movement dead. It is dangerous. It is existential. So happy to have you part of that movement. Love, appreciate you all. Please like, share, do the things you do to make sure you get the word out. And we will catch you. Nope, not next week. It's Thanksgiving, the week after next week. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.